Today we are showing you our koi project, and I'm really excited to share this with you. I think it applies to all different kinds of fish, so you can make whatever you'd like. We're using Fiber Fairy supplies. There is not a supply pack for this. What's needed is very simple, and I am going to go through that. It's on the simple side. So I do have the Fiber Fairy giveaway items here, and that's what I'll be working with today. But one of the things I love about this project is you can just take any colors and patterns and have fun with it. I'll go over the fibers, but first I want to talk about the tools. I'll have my needle felting surface and needles. I do use the punch tool a lot because we have a large surface and a lot of flat surfaces. You will want the Zuli tool and a nice pair of sharp scissors. You can use the these little snips or some fabric scissors, but we are cutting fiber here and there, so that's real helpful because it's finer fiber. Find yourself these are dog brushes, and you can use them to card, but I actually use it to loosen the fiber where I need to. And we have these linked on our Goods and Faves page. The skin of the fish is wet felted. You can take this project and the armature and the colors and needle felt also, but the wet felting gives us so much, it's harder to needle felt silk. So the wet felting gives us a lot of texture and shine. I made 3 different size fishes to get started, koi, I should say. And I started, and it was way big. The wire guesses were just, I ended up with a huge fish. Then I went down, and then I went down again. I'm going to show all 3 armatures, and they'll give you the lengths so that you can play around with what size works for you. But I'm going to demonstrate making the smallest fish. So let's go overhead so that you can see the fiber and the fish more clearly, and then we'll get started on our armature. Kyla made this one. With her, I made this one, I think. No, this was my first one. And as I made these, I figured some things out. So this tail is 2 pieces felted together. And then I figured out it's so much easier if the tail has a resist and then it just slides right on. So this is just 1 piece, and I put a resist in for the armature to slide in. He doesn't have his front fins yet, so I can show a couple options on doing that. But the skin that we wet felt, here's the pieces, goes on in a way that it makes the head, hopefully the gills, if you need to add a little round part for gills, then you can. This comes around the belly, then this goes on the tail, and then this is your extra for the chin and fins and anything else that's needed. So those are the wet felted pieces. I was doing double back fins. They actually have sort of 2 smaller ones, more on the belly, and then this is 1, which I realized, and that's good because that's actually going to be easier. So we can just felt that together. And then if I want to add little extra ones. We can do all sorts of patterns. I really like this one was fun. This is fiber that I'm going to use Power Tex on to create a fin, and that's just showing a different way other than the felted fin. This one's huge. This is the biggest way to do it. Look at big.
It's the size of the whale. Is that your profile picture?
My big fish. Really had fun with the colors of this one. Yeah, it's not quite as big as the whale, but it's pretty darn big. So this you can see has wet felted fins. And this guy's cute. This one I did a whole different thing on the tail. I took one tail piece and wrapped it around the armature, which isn't the best solution because you can kind of see, I can still work on this, but it's harder to make it seamless. And this one has the Power Text fins, which is nice. It gives it a real sharp, sort of airy look. So those are our samples. And I'm going to show the supplies. In the giveaway is this 2 ounces of off-white chunky core. The small fish, it's very close to 2 ounces. It might be a tiny bit more. Have plenty of off-white chunky core on hand. We now carry this snow merino. It's very white. And this is what I use to make the wet felted skin. I'm not using a pre-felt. I'm just laying out this snow merino. I have white mulberry silk. This is key. A lot of mulberry silk evenly placed. And I have to admit, I was so excited to make these and figure this out. I rushed, I rushed a little bit, but having that mulberry silk in there is what makes all these wrinkles and shine, and that translates as scales and smoothness. So definitely have your silk. Then we have other merino colors. These are for felting and grip and color. I have yolk, lake, and dark. They do come in kind of specific set of colors, but I mean, I wanted to make a pink one. I didn't get to it. Just have fun with it is all I'm saying. And then what is really great for these is the plumage, because it already has silk. This has Tussa silk, and we have the Cock of the Rock, which is the brighter orange, Upupa, which is the kind of creamsicle orange, which I have seen some of the koi pictures. This is the crowned crane, right? I'm getting these right. This is the bright yellow. The greater bird of paradise is this more rich gold. This is the combo that I did on this one. So plumage, check out the plumage section for all of the amazing colors there. And then in the giveaway is additional silks and silk hankies and the tail resist. If you missed the giveaway, this is very easy to make. It's anything waterproof, cut to match your armature. So I'll show once the armature is made. All I did was lay it down and trace it and cut this out. And then we have a variety of other mulberry silks to shine this up.
So that's passion, saffron, marigold, and dark?
Yes, passion, saffron, marigold, and dark. We are getting these in for the giveaway, so we'll have to check on availability for those down the road. But the plumage definitely is the easiest because it's already all mixed together. And then some silk hankies, and these are just great for stretching out and adding texture, creating fins, giving it a little bit of structure. For now, I'm going to set the fibers aside, and I'm going to show you the wires and the armature. The smallest koi ends up about, when all said and done, nose to tail, 14 to 15 inches. This is the armature for that guy. And they're made with two 20-inch 14 gauge and one 14-inch 14 gauge. And then I have some 26 gauge white wire for all of the fish sizes. Three works. The medium fish, which is, I think, this one, 12, more like 16 or 17 inches long. And it depends on how you make your tail, obviously. If you go big, then it's going to be longer. That's made with two 24-inch wires and one 16-inch wire. And then the big fish, 12 and another 8. Yeah, 20 inches. That is two 28-inch wires and one 18-inch wire. They're all made exactly the same, and it's just the wire length. So we're going to make the small ones, which are still plenty big. Okay, we're going to start our armature. Easiest way to do this is to find the center of all three pieces. You don't need a really strong point because we don't want their nose to be real pointy. They have sort of a flat snub nose, but we do just need to orient ourselves to the center of the wire. And then the first step is to put your shorter 14-inch wire together with your 20-inch wire. And starting from the center, I find it easier just to twist each side. And I'm doing gentle, about 1/2-inch twists. And I want to go about 2.5 inches until the short wire is pointing out. So to keep the twist going in the same direction, I just turn this over. So this is a little contrary to our shoulder technique because one wire ends up going on top and one wire ends up coming out the bottom, but it doesn't matter in this case. So then I want to unfold that and give him more of a snub nose than a point. And just to give you an idea, yeah, this is about 2.5 inches. And that's about 1 inch across the nose. Okay, so your little arms point out. Bring these together. You have to hold it quite firmly because it wants to open up. I have about 3/4 of an inch on each side here, on each side of the cross. Take your third wire, and I like to hook it through the head and onto this X. And then just make sure everything's lined up well. Twist to the end of that wire.
So koi can be 2 to 3 feet long when fully grown.
I mean, yes, they're a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not deep dive, so to speak, in the into everything about koi. So
the largest koi on record, 4 feet long, 91 pounds.
Jeez, that's Jennifer. That's a human.
That's a human.
Okay, we bring these two together, twist our tail just 2 to 3 times, and you're going to have those extra wires, but it all gets encapsulated in the fiber. And then we want to turn this body vertically. So then you might need to turn your tail vertically because their head is nice and broad, but then their body is tall and skinny the other way. So this armature works out pretty well. Well, it works out very well, actually. And you have your round head, then your fish-shaped body. So now we need to put some white wires on. This is for grip and a little more stability. But I start with the center at the nose, and then I have to feed it through to get it through the head. Get the head wire covered. Then I go out each arm. And we want to cut the arms to about 2.5 inches. So you do end up taking 1 inch to 1.5 inches off. It's up to you how long you want those to be. They do get built out, but I like these to look really airy, so I don't do a great big long front fin. Then I take the wire and I just give it another 1/2 inch beyond the aluminum wire so that it has a nice tapered end to it. Easy to wrap.
So koi fish have growth rings like trees.
Oh, really? Where?
This is what I'm.
What you're learning from
This
the
is what
internet?
I'm trying to see. Each ring represents about 2 years of growth. I'm looking.
We want to know.
See.
Where are these rings? Okay, then we have 2 more wires. They're going to go on each side of the body and out the tail. I do like to get this little section covered as well. I just think it adds a little bit of stability to this. I don't love having just that single turn, just that single point. It's not the norm. We usually have a nice sturdy shoulder, so I like having this wire to add a little bit of stability to that transition.
The rings are on their scales.
Whoa.
And
like you look at the scales under a microscope and see.
Their ear bones are also used for precise aging by counting the opaque and translucent bands on their ears. So yeah, you look at a scale.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is wild. I like to make the top tail fin longer. They're generally that way. So I'm going to use as much of this 26 gauge wire as I can. So I got about 2 inches going up onto the head, and then I'll go around this lower part of the body. And then out the lower fin. And then I don't want this one to be quite as long. There we go. Time for fiber. This is a pretty easy build out. So we'll be on to wet felting, lickety split. Okay, we're ready to add some fiber to our armature. I had one wrapped so you could see what it looked like, but then I was anxious to make it. So I covered it all up. But this won't take long. You're going to see it very soon. Start with 1 4-inch pole and 1 6-inch pole. So split your 6-inch pole in half and split your 4-inch pole into quarters. And this is about how much fiber we're using. Sometimes the off-white chunky core has a little bit of variation. I do it by measurement, but you have to get a feel for what you need. So these 4 are going to go onto each fin. And the idea is just to get a nice tight wrap to give us something to stab into or felt to when we put our finishing fiber on. Pull it a little extra off, and then if I just let that fringe go around until it's gone, I don't even have to stab it. So I get it nice and tight at the top by staying in the same place for a couple of wraps. Anchors itself down. I can tug on that pretty tightly. And then I keep my ribbon narrow and under control and flat as I go out. Take off a little bit of fiber because I could tell I had too much. And then just let the fringe do the work.
Also interesting, as koi grow older, they often look very different than when they were young.
Okay.
And this says it's more of a glow up than a fade out. So they often get
fancier.
Yes, as they get older. Isn't that nice?
I'm getting fancier, but it's more of a compensation situation.
Like their color changes. Also, the seasons affect that.
Interesting.
They're often more vibrant during the warmer months.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
I'm just going to take this back because the tail ones do need a little more fiber.
Also, well, water temperature, light exposure, which is kind of summer, but also stress levels can affect their appearance. Which is true.
Again.
For us as well.
Yes. My new house has ponds.
Yes. I was thinking about you when I read that. Because...
Did they say that keeping koi reverses aging?
It does not say that. But they're very friendly.
Oh, that's cool.
And they recognize feeding time. Like some people will ring a bell and kind of train them that feeding time's coming.
Yeah.
They get all excited.
But I also have cats. I lied. Split this into 4 also. We need to go on each side of this. So I'm going to start around this weird little neck-ish thing. Go down one side. Sometimes I didn't even do this, but I think you're going to find it easier. We make a shape that fits in here, and the shape sticks better if it has a little bit of fiber on it. All right, now my instruction is going to be just perfect, you'll see. And then we got to get to the other side.
They can live between 35-degree water and 86-degree water.
I thought you were going to say years.
What?
How long did I was like, that's a big commitment.
Oh, no, even longer than that. 30 to 40 years. I mean, it all depends
30 to 40 years.
Hold on. Let me see. I highlighted that information as well. An average lifespan is 30 to 40 years. Some, defying the odds, have lived for over 2 centuries. Hanako is a legendary koi, 226 years old.
I'm going to look up Hanako.
Even 40 years. That is a big commitment.
They're like the donkeys of the fish world.
The turtles.
The parrots. Okay, I'm going to take another piece and go all the way around this little head loop. They are so beautiful, and when I have seen them one of the places I vacationed had a
Mhm.
nice pond with a whole bunch of koi. It's kind of like having chickens. Chickens are so pretty
Mhm.
and they're fun to watch and they're fun to engage with. And they're also really friendly. And I mean, I had a chicken that would come in and sit in the living room, and I don't know, it's just funny. I mean, I don't think the koi can do that. I can see the appeal, and it just moved, so I haven't been there. So I'm excited in the spring to see what's what. I'm going to put this last piece onto the tail here, coming out the body, and then go out the lower one and back, and then go out the upper one and back. And it's just filling that all in a little bit more. I'm not sure I got myself a clean felting surface, so we're going to get that together because I'm going to need that. Okay, next we're going to make some shapes on the flat part of the Zuli tool. And they go into the head and into the body. So let's take a nice long, it's about 14 inches. Split that in half. And for the head, I'm giving it just a kind of stretch so that there's no bulkiness. For the head, I want to stay, I'm thinking 2 inches. It's going to end up longer, but I'm doing about a 2 wrap travel and then a 2 wrap travel back. I'm just doing that over and over again until all the fiber's gone. And the key here is to stretch the end out so that you don't have a big chunk. I probably need another half of that. So let's take a 9-inch piece, split it in half, and put this on there. I keep it nice and tight and flat. Does not need to be stabbed very much. That gets booped right in there, just like that. If you take it off and it's too small, add a little more fiber. You can figure that out as you go. For this shape, we want to travel more like 3 inches, and we're going to end up with a shape that's probably a little closer to 4 inches. Because fiber be like that. Now, I know the other 9-inch half isn't going to be enough. So I'm going to take another 14-inch piece and split it in half. This is so simple. I haven't even had to refer to my notes.
You haven't.
And I just made 6.
You even knew all the wire lengths.
All right, this should be good. If one side is more blunt and one side is more tapered, I put the blunt side at the front. Blunt at the front. And that's it. That's it for that step. We need to wrap that whole thing. I still have, see how everything works out? I still have half of a 14-inch piece and half of a 9-inch piece. So I'm going to put the 9-inch piece on the head. The other nice thing about pre-wrapping the wire is this is already finished. It is a little hard to get that end finished if it hasn't been wrapped already.
Mm-hmm.
So just hold your shape in place. If it shifts top or bottom, you want more of it to be on the top rather than the bottom. Centered is good, but don't let it drop down and all of that fiber be at the bottom. Careful of these wires.
Yeah.
I did have a very uncharacteristic complete needle blowout.
I bent 2 needles.
And then this one, same thing. We're just trying to keep it centered. Go around. Get it all stuck together. Wide and tight and even is the name of the game with this wrap. It's hard because this is tapered. So what I did there was I'm angled this way, and then when I got to that point, I took it back the other way, and that helps it all stay without just slipping. If you just go straight around, it's going to want to slip down that angle. So just being aware of the wires. Your fish has a top and bottom because of the longer tail piece. And as we're wrapping, you want to start orienting these fins to be at the bottom. We don't want them to keep coming out right from straight out the side. We want to start to build so that those are coming up more, look like they're coming off of the bottom sides. So now we need to make 4 long logs, kind of like we did for the center of this. They're going to make the belly and the chest and the ridge on the top. Let's see, I'm going to take 2 14-inch pieces, see where we are here. See if this is enough. Split them in half. See if these give me enough. I think so. It seems like a lot of wool.
It takes a lot of wool.
It does take a lot of wool because you get this pretty tight, you know. So this is about a 3-inch wrap. Then go back. Then go back if you can. This fish would end up more svelte if I stopped there. But 2 is going to be too much. So let's do 1.5. So I just took half of one of those, just broke one of those quarters in half. This is going to be just right. This is feeling a little big, but that's okay. He's either going to be skinny or roundy. Now he's going to be roundy.
They do?
He's going to be well fed.
Yeah, they do look to be, some are a little leaner, some are a little thicker.
Mm-hmm. So how hard I need to pull on my fiber is relative to how close my hand is. If I don't need to pull real hard, my hand can be out here. If I need to pull very tightly, I need to keep my hand much closer. Stretching this out because I don't like to try and wrap with a great big bulky piece. And I'm trying to be more, I'm explaining these things because I think this fish is a nice big project that's not complex. Yeah. Someone who's familiar with needle felting could do this. Okay, so maybe if those are the two belly and then this one's the center, I might not add more to this one. I might just let this one be a little bit skinnier. As long as I can go out and back, the shape is sturdy and good. We'll see how this works. And then I need one more. So this is about 10 inches. This is what I'm doing. And then I'm giving it another 4 to be the 14.
So koi are carp. I didn't realize that.
I saw something about them, there being, like the koi can breed with a different kind of carp. And so there's kind of like mixes.
Okay. They definitely breed them for even specific colors and stuff now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's leave this one just that single piece as well. We'll reassess. Okay, so the two fatty belly pieces I want to put on each side, lower side, not directly in the middle, like a little lower. Again, if it's tapered, that goes towards the tail, and the more blunt side goes towards the front. And for now, it's just a tack. This is the wrap really is what holds this in place. It's so funny. They're starting to look like a little being. I love their little bellies. They can get quite a little belly. And then one of these not quite so long ones or big ones, I'm going to give it just a little stretch, make sure this is nice and tapered. Put it a little farther forward than the other two and let it come between the front arms and taper towards the nose. Notice I'm still about 1.5 inches away from the tip of the nose. Don't take it all the way out there. And then this guy goes on top and creates, you can even sort of pinch it into the shape, but creates the ridge or the height that we need on the back. And again, I'm letting it travel onto the head, but I really want it to taper onto the head. I don't want it to be a big chunk. And same on the back. That's the nice thing about these shapes is you can kind of manipulate them and get them to do different things.
Yeah, they're mostly just wrapped and not super stabbed.
Yes, wrapped and not super stabbed, because you want to be able to shape it and put it into place and further sculpt it. Alrighty. This is where we are. Nice fist shape. So we have to wrap this whole thing, and that takes quite a bit of fiber. So you'll see I'm at the end of my 2 ounces. This actually is probably just right. Mm-hmm. This is about 24 inches, so I'm going to split that in half. But any bigger, and you're going to need more off-white chunky core. Plus, you're going to want to make 6, so... You know, PowerTex is waterproof and outdoors for outdoor use. I was thinking about taking one and seeing what happens, like totally PowerTexing one and having it outside somewhere, just see what happens. So this wrap, we've got a we've got to keep everything together. I'm going to start right behind the front arms because I think that's the easiest place to start. And you just try to keep things from shifting here and there. I'm concentrating on the body and the belly. And remember that tapered end requires a little bit of angle so that it doesn't just slip backwards. And then give this a stab. So the key there is things not shifting and keeping your fiber ribbon nice and smooth. Okay, I feel like this piece is more like half of a 14-inch piece, and it's going to be more manageable for the head here. I'm going to try and go around the head and then do a crisscross. So right around the head, and then I'm going to cross over shoulder and under the armpit, go around the back, and then come under the armpit and over the front. And keep these little arms pointing down. And then we need to build out the tail to the body. So first, I still have half of a 24-inch piece. I'm going to take about 9 inches, 10 inches, and go just around this tail area. And then I'm going to do a piece to blend the two together. But I just want to build this up a little bit. And as I felt this, I want to think about felting it from each side so that it flattens out a little bit.
So sometimes koi get released into the wild on purpose, sometimes, but by accident. This says when in the wild, they quickly lose their bright colors. They look like common carp within just a few generations.
Wow, that they got to do that to survive.
And it says...
Otherwise, they're like a beacon.
Right. It says in some places they're seen as an invasive species. Like in Queensland, Australia, they're considered a harmful fish.
I wonder what they do to what do they eat in the wild?
So they eat insects and larvae, but they also eat grasses and stuff.
Interesting.
They're omnivores.
This piece, I'm going to split it in half. So I have a half piece that's about, well, it was probably about 6 inches, but now it's stretched out. And I'm going to start on the body and just go around the tail close to the body and then return to the body. So that is going to help bring these two sections together without a huge dramatic drop off. And then I'll do it from the bottom too, so you can see it again. So from the belly side, stretch this out a little bit because now this section's even bigger because of the piece I just put on. So I'm going to start on the body, on the belly, go around. Well, I think this time I'm just going to do it like this, like a little scarf. because I don't want it to get too bulky. If I went all the way around, what was going to happen was I was going to get a wide ridge here. Then I'd have to blend that. This is just right. All right, this is your little fish, ready for his bright coat. He's wondering what color he's going to be. Is this is koi a Japanese word?
Koi itself, I believe, is a Japanese word.
They often have the big, bold red dot on their head. Is that the Japanese flag?
I don't know if that's where it
came from, but isn't the Japanese flag?
It is.
Like this guy.
As far as Japanese culture, they're very closely linked.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the art that you see is with koi is Japanese.
It's a symbol of luck, wealth, and good fortune.
There you go. Okay, next up, wet felting. I have my wet felting bubble wrap laid out pretty much configured to the overhead. So you guys can see it just goes an inch or two off each way, but that's fine because I'll stay right in the middle here. So you guys should be able to see everything. And the layout is the majority is the body, which started out bigger than this, and I'll give you a measurement. And then the tail with the resist. And then a piece like this. And I would just make extra. Just the way that the skin goes on and comes together, extra pieces are great because there just might be an edge that's just right for the side fins or the top fin, or maybe your this part got a little narrow and you need more for the belly. So just put some fiber on here, and since you're rolling the whole thing anyway, make yourself a few extra pieces. And we even saved, when we were working on ours, we saved all of the extra pieces because, like this guy, I didn't have enough fiber on the width of the head to have the gills all as one piece. So I had to make a little gill. On this guy, this is just a fold, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a pucker?
Yeah. A gusset a pleat in the skin. So it was all right there. I didn't have to add a second piece. And sometimes I'm able to get these little fins out of this piece, and sometimes I added them on. So there's a little bit of mystery in wet felting, but it's also very forgiving, and you can make pretty much anything work for you one way or another. Even on the darker fish, I started with the snow merino. I haven't made one that didn't fade to white underneath. They all have gone to white. This guy too. So up to you how much color you want. But I'm going to lay the body out over here. And I pull the fringe. I'm not grabbing where it's real thick. I'm grabbing where it's wispy. And that gives you nice, even pulls. All I do is crisscross to change the direction of the fiber. Kind of like a herringbone. So I'm going to keep building this out, and then I'll give you some measurements here.
They kind of all seem to go white on their bellies.
Mm-hmm. That's
Some of the really golden ones, maybe not quite as much, but
So right now, I've got my head is about at the most 6 inches wide and about 4 inches this way. I want this width because ideally I like to be able to make the, I don't know if they're called gills. I think that's what we're talking about. The gills right out of this piece of basically material that we're making through wet felting. So I'm going to go ahead and even give those a little bit more. And then I also want the belly to be nice and wide because it is nice when it can go all of the way around. We don't need a ton in the tail area. We ended up cutting some of that off, but that's okay too because you need it elsewhere. So right now, from the back of the head to the end of the tail is about 12 inches. And that should do it because it's only 7 inches. So that should be plenty.
we did blend though. Like mine, I used that extra from the body and put it on top of the tail, and it just it was nice.
Yeah,
it
so
was
a
nice
little
to have
coming
it.
off there, yeah. So I don't want this to be super thick. Really, it's just the crisscrossing layers. And now it's going to get color, so that's going to be in silk, and so this does not need to be tons of layers. I'm actually trying to keep it just 2 layers, and only because the fiber is crisscrossing. I'm going to put a little bit more out here. Okay. So overall here, at the widest part of the belly is 12 inches. Like I said, from the back of the head to the end is 12 inches, and then the head is 4 inches. So 16 by 12, and then I've got this at about 7. And then, I think I'm going to do a fadey one. We haven't done anything with the yuba, so. Instead of I'll show spots. I'll do an ombre and then maybe black spots.
Okay, cool.
It's tough because there's so
many options.
So first I'm going to use my mulberry silk because anywhere that there is white, I want to get this incredible texture and shine. So I'm just going to really tease it out, try to keep it even. Just let it be real webby. Like one nice pole stretched out is probably enough for each section. So I'm doing the sides, the tail, and the head. The center is going to get covered, so I'm not too worried about the center. And then using the snow merino, I need the slightest little wispy pieces over that. Don't want this to be heavy because then you won't see the silk. Just needs to be enough to trap it. So I don't know if you guys can see how wispy that is. Let me get it over that blue part.
If anyone has not wet felted, for starters, you need to. This project is so cool with it because Sarah said before, the silk really gives you the texture and it really looks like scales without doing a huge amount of work to like for some crazy individual scale look. It just looks like scales all over.
I put sari silk waste into this one in the I forget what that, in Storm maybe. And it wasn't as shiny as I thought it would be, but it did make a really, really cool scaly texture. So the sari silk waste does kind of a different thing. You could put hankies in here. This one was made, that's what these ridges are, the edge of a overdyed red hanky, and Kyla found a hanky that was dyed really lightly with yellow and purple. And that's what this is. So it does make some cool, it's magic color changes.
The other neat thing, the more you look at pictures, there's no going wrong.
Yeah.
Like
they can be so many different ways.
Yeah, if you're going to try wet felting anything, this is one of those.
So this one was white with spots, and I will get to how I do the spots. But I want to do an ombre color on this. So I'm going to start with the Upupa and just let some of my white belly show. So I'm just going to kind of fan it out. The fringe is the blender. The fringe is what makes that nice, easy transition in the blend. And then I'm going to use some of this marigold silk because it is a great color and I want that ultra shine and texture in there. The plumage does have silk in it, but this is just going to be a bit more. I definitely want to put this in the tail. And then I'm going to put my brighter orange on top of that, more in the center. I'm not using any merino in this one. I'm going to use some black to make dots, but you do have these merino colors as well. It's so hard because there's so many.
Lake is
I guess
really
I could
cool.
put red and black dots. Kind of want to do just black and orange. This is why you have to make many. So for the black dots, I like to actually cut the fiber because it gives you a real natural kind of spilling. I'm going to move this over for now. I'll show you what I mean. And you can even like cut it wacky, go thick to thin, swerve it, and cut it straight. And then these pieces, when you let them sprawl, they just do naturally varied things, which is, it's hard to do, to take a piece of fiber and make it look random, but that's what we want, is the randomness. And I haven't tried this before, but I'm going to try cutting the silk and putting it in there. What?
It wouldn't be a tutorial without you trying something that you haven't tried before.
Because the black does end up kind of flat. So these are my merino. Touareg, is this called Touareg? Sacrilegious. And blue is a complement to orange, so it's going to be fabulous. Now, I'm putting a lot of silk on here relative to the spots, so I need to make sure that I definitely add more merino on top of that. But I want to keep it very light. So just stretching it out.
You want to do this where there's no breeze?
Yeah. You don't have a cold?
No fans running?
I feel like just a few little. I got all these big blotches. I need a couple little ones. All right. We're going to see how that goes. The tail is fun. Well, let's do our boring part first. So the extra fiber is going to be just the snow merino, not just, but snow merino and mulberry silk. And I'll put a hanky in there as well. So to give myself a nice long just doing a crisscross. Only one side of this will be fabulous unless you turn it over and do the other side. But it works out because it usually goes on the belly and chin area. Okay, and then I'm going to put a hanky just for kicks. You can see what that looks like.
It looks like if you have dry winter skin, it's a problem.
Felting with silk in the winter is a problem in general because of static. I'm loosening up these edges a little bit. Sometimes you want that really fun thick edge, but I want this to be a little bit more even. Not too bad, not too bad. I'm going to put mulberry silk too. And then tiny bit. Let's do something fun.
You gonna speckle it?
Mm-hmm. And then just teeny tiny bit of the white merino on top. Stretched real thin. This is definitely a whole thing because I was thinking the plumage technique could be really interesting for fins and tails. I didn't want to overcomplicate. This is a really fun way to do this project, but I know you guys are going to take it and spin off and do other kinds of fun things. Okay, tail. if you put your template down, sometimes with the resist, you're trying to make a vessel, and so you're folding over, but we're not doing that. We just want to save the space inside the tail for the armature to go. So that's what this is for. I'm going to build one side out, make it real pretty the way I want it, and fibers sort of stick together on their own anyway. So then I'll flip that over and do the other side and just try to remember what I did. I don't want to come beyond the end. I want to leave about 1.5 inches at least of resist so that there's no danger of the opening felting closed. I will start with the merino. And I'm not going to use hankies. I'm going to use a lot of silk. I do like the way this one turned out, and I'll be copying that somewhat. So this was just merino, mulberry silk, and the orange mulberry silk, but you could also use plumage in there. So this is important to make sure that because I want this to be on the delicate side, so I'm really trying to make sure that my crisscrosses are nice and even and light. Giving him a little bit extra at the top. Letting the fiber fringe fan out. And then a little build out towards the body of the fish. And then with the white mulberry silk, just going to take a nice pull and let that fan out. Same with the bottom. And then with the marigold. Scooting this one back a little bit so that the white really shows. And then I'll put some of the pupa at the base. This does have merino in it, so it will be the... Oh, you know what? I should have put... I need to put a tiny bit of merino on top of this. In this case, I'm keeping it going the same way. I'm not trying to crisscross too much. Boop. Just put a teeny wisps of this on top. I did put quite a bit of mulberry silk there. So I got to make sure it has some wool on top of it. Okay, let's turn it over and do the other side. I think I ended up on one of my tails getting this side a little thinner because it's harder to gauge because you have all of that fiber underneath. So just be aware. You could even count pulls and make sure you're putting the same on each side. This time I won't forget the merino.
It did let you pull it off, though, and put it right back on.
Yeah. Okay, there's my merino. Now I'm putting the orange mulberry silk.
So the female koi are friendlier or more social than the males. It says they often initiate what can only be described as fish kisses. And all of them swim close together in what kind of looks like a little group hug. Like they are friendly.
So cool. Okay. I have room to make some extra pieces. I'm going to scoot this so that you guys can see. Try to scoot this up without destroying it. And it's nice to make a little bit of orange because sometimes their eyes are orange. So I'm just going to crisscross some of this plumage. Maybe put a little gold in it. This will be interesting to see how this is just straight plumage. So see how that felts. And then let's just do a little bit more white in case we need it. I don't think we'll need it, but.
Koi fish, fun fact, always travel in groups of 4.
What?
If they're attacked, A, B, and C scatter, and they leave behind the decoy.
Who's the decoy?
It's just a joke.
It's a joke?
It's a joke. A, B, and C go away, and then the decoy stays behind.
Oh! That was a good one, and I missed it. I was concentrating. That's funny.
It's a dad joke.
All right, that is what I'm going with. We're going to wet felt this. It's going to be amazing.
It is going to be fabulous.
All right, I got my sleeves rolled up.
Step 1.
Got my
roll up your sleeves.
Big boots on. We're ready to wet felt. I have warm water with Dawn. Some Dawn in there. What? Oh, yeah. And some olive oil soap just to keep my hands slippery, sudsy. My voile and my towel underneath. I love this part. So first we want to make sure that everything is evenly saturated but not dripping. And you'll be able to tell by the poofy spots, which is where there's still air and not water. You'll see. I'm always so amazed at this part, how much fiber migrates through the voile. It's weird. So with this last squeeze, I'm going to make sure I've got a lot of soap on my hands. And then I can press the water around and get everything fully saturated. And you can feel it, you know, if you see spots that it's real airy, like right up here. I'm not sure if you guys, it's not on camera. At this point, I can press the water around and get it saturated, but you might just need a little bit more water at times as well. And so my goal right now is to use the palms of my hands, and I'm on the more gentle side right now because this fiber is still kind of slipping against each other until it starts to come together. And you sort of feel it do that under your hand.
Tail looks cool already.
Yeah. I'm glad we put the spots on the... Another thing I could have done is put a little bit of orange into one edge of this for the back fin. Might be able to use this other little piece down here. Or it's not too late. I could add it. Let's do that. So I just got to make sure it's not sticking. Dry my hands off.
Which fiber do you need?
I'm going to put the Upupa plumage. Feels really long. You got to get it on both sides. Yeah, there's a little window of opportunity before this is all felted fully to add another layer. All right, that's going to be weird, but I think it's going to be okay too. I think it's also going to work. See all this? That was not there. It just comes right on through, especially where I cut the cut the wool shorter. So exciting.
So we looked it up and saw that the word for carp in Japanese is koi.
Oh, such a mystery.
Mystery solved. Yep.
If you need a private investigator, that's our side gig.
That was an easy one.
I have been watching too many mysteries lately. Okay, so now I want to pull this off, and this will just ensure that nothing's too embedded. I don't keep felting when it's too embedded. I'm also going to take this opportunity to flip the tail over because of the resist in there, it is kind of on the thick side. So pretty.
Very cool.
Okay, now I can just put this back on. So I'm just going to roll it. I've been doing these 100 times this way and then 100 times from the side. I haven't been doing all 4 sides, which we often do when we have larger, thicker projects. And then I take the voile off and do them all by hand to shape them the way that I want them. So we usually time lapse while I roll, but I'm going to do 100 this way. Then I'm going to take them, I'm going to flip them all upside down, and I'm going to do 100 this way. I roll the pool noodle in with the bubble wrap and the voile inside, and then to hold it, I just roll the towel. My towel is usually folded in half. I just roll the towel around it to hold it. And then I'll see you after 100 rolls. Okay, so I did 100 times that way, and now I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to flip all of these over, and I'm going to do 100 times from the short end. Okay, with 200 rolls, it should be held together pretty well, and I can do a little extra by hand here. If you have any super wacky spots, you have an opportunity here to stretch it the way you need it to be. So it's good to get a little more forceful with it because it activates that silk crinkle that we want. And you can test it by giving it a pinch. So it's pretty well grabbed in there. I can't really pull this off. So that's very good. I don't want to overdo it because I don't want to end up with it felted so tightly that I can't manipulate it at all. So it should be safe to pull the resist out of this now. So this is the one that was just plumage, and it's not quite as tight as the other pieces. So a little bit of merino in there. I mean, this is going to be the eye, so it's fine. It's going to get felted on. It's not a very big piece. But we'll see what happens. This is a good little good little test. The next step, and I can't do this here, is to rinse these off. Rinse them out thoroughly, and you want to use the hottest water you have and squeeze them under the hot water. Our water here gets so hot I have to wear gloves. And then switch to cold, and then switch back to hot and back to cold. And what that does is kind of opens up all the barbs and the fibers, and then the cold shocks it back closed. And so it's kind of like a final felting moment. And then I'll show you after these are rinsed. I have a spinner. If you don't have a spinner, you can roll them back and forth in a towel. They're going to dry very quickly. It's not a ton of fiber. So I'll show you how we can shape everything to be the way we want it and symmetrical. So I'll be right back. Oh, the tail is really pretty. So I can shape the tail, can look at pictures and see how you can you can tug this more round, get rid of, I think they look more sharky if there's pointiness. I like them nice and round, and really thin this out so it's really gossamer. And then I'm going to tug this part to make sure it's as long and skinny as possible. Check the openings for my armature. Yep, they're good. Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
It's very cool how you can kind of tell the fiber where to go and how to dry.
Yeah, it'll stay where you put it once it's dried. So if this were all pointy like that, I can pull it around. And then on this, I can fold it in half. Well, this is my head, and make sure it's on the symmetrical side. So I had this kind of weird, super pointy part, so I'm going to stretch that out. It's not going to be perfect, but at least you're going to get a little bit of symmetry. This will probably end up being cut off somewhat because this will go over it probably to about there. And then when it's dry, we can fringe out the spots that we need to fringe out. Yeah, that's good. I like the way that blue is in there. Kind of cool. And then this piece just is going to be whatever it needs to be piece. That's going to look pretty as the belly though. Mm-hmm. I think I'll use this as the chin, underneath the head. So I'm going to stretch that out a little bit. And then this should be just right for the belly. And then I've got the top fin here. And then this part can be whatever it needs to be. So yeah, we'll be putting this together next. We are ready to put our beautiful, I don't like calling this a skin, but it's not a pelt.
It's not a pelt.
Anyway,
it is.
It's going on.
It is very much a skin.
I did neglect to make eyeballs. We need to make an eye shape under here before we put this on. And I have just enough. Little 4-inch strips. Maybe probably more like 3 inches. I like to do them on the round end of the Zuli tool. And I just go straight around. keep your ribbon real narrow, under 1/2 inch.
I was very pleased with my fish until I tried to do the eyes.
They turned out good.
I think maybe I lost some forehead or something. I don't know. I need to. Perhaps I should have been looking at pictures.
I
like
am. I know.
suggested.
That's what I opened up my laptop because pictures would be helpful. And fish eyes are weird. I mean,
right.
That's just
it might not be
a
the
fact
eyes.
of life.
I think I need more head or something. I don't know.
These, when I slide them off, well, let me set this aside. They're going to go, I'm trying to keep it together as I slide it off. They're going to go with if you think of it as a donut, the donut hole points out. So it's a little tricky to get them locked on. And they go on the side of the head, but towards the top. Just got to kind of stab all around it. It's very sticky outy at first because what we're really trying to do is make an eyeball and a little eyebrow ridge at the same time. And the skin is going to just rest over the top of that. That's the forehead you were talking about, I guess. So you got to kind of squish your round shape down. Alrighty. And look at it from the top and make sure it looks aligned. They're so funny looking right now. They're like little tadpoles. Okay, it helps to fringe this out a little bit before you put it on. I don't want to go too crazy because we have to assess which parts get fringed and which parts don't. So I'm going to do the front. I could use this thing too. I don't know if it's going to mess up the view or not. It is nice to have something to kind of pull against. So I'm going to do the front part of the belly, but leave this back part. And then a little bit on the sides of the head here. And once we get it tacked on there, we're going to be able to see what else needs it. And then each side of the back. I'm not going to go too crazy on this because it might get cut off and need to be something else. But once I get it pinned on, you'll have a better understanding of what we're doing, and it'll make more sense. So I want to center it, and I want to make sure that I have enough coming forward over the lip that I can roll this back and make a nice rolled top lip. So that's the first step. Tack that down. This distance isn't as important as where this lands. You want this to land right on that wire or just past that wire that's in there. And you want to make sure you have a nice roll to that. Okay, and then I can put a couple of pins in here. Thank you. Be careful. It's real easy to grab at this and stab yourself.
I did that.
Yeah, I did it a few times too. I mean, I don't know if this is the best way to do it. I guess you could just stick the pins in, but I don't feel like they hold as well. So I can see that this is going to come around under my belly, which is great. And I will need a chin piece here. Okay. So I'm going to tack the lip down onto the head. Be careful that wire is there. I'm a little thrown off because this is off center, which is totally fine, but I keep second guessing where I am. So just tacking down on the top of the head. I can feel those eyeballs right there and there. I love the way this happens. So I need to cut for the eyeballs. So what I do is I kind of lift the skin off. I'm right over the eyeball. And with the snips, you can just go sideways, except I got to do it right-handed. And then use your finger to open that up a little bit. And I pretty much want the bottom of the eyeball to peer out and the top to make a brow. Oh, you know what? I need to put, it was easier to put the orange on underneath. I was supposed to remind you of that. So I have this little orangey piece. If you don't have it, just use some fiber, but it is easier to get this on before you put the skin onto it. So I'm going to cut 2 circles, big enough to go around that eyeball. And then pick which side I like. Tack these on. Yeah, and all the other ones I did this after, and that's just silly. Look at that. Makes so much sense. So I'm stabbing at the bottom mostly right now because I'm gonna kind of figure out what this eyelid needs a little later down the road.
Oh, that's so nice.
Thank you.
I'm just having eyeball envy.
Yeah. It's a process, you know. It's fun seeing I've made 5 or 6 fish in 2 or 3 days and just each one learning something new on it. It's kind of fun. Oh wait, I didn't cut this. Did I cut this one yet? My snips aren't very sharp anymore. Oh, I did that a little low.
Koi are apparently prone to sunburn, so they need shade in their ponds or else they can get burned.
Interesting. Okay, starting to get a little face here. Sorry if my head's in the way, it happens. All right, let's get this chin piece on. So is this going to work? No, I was going to use this because I do like those little orange spots, but I don't need to go very far back. Let's see. That's going to go there. So I guess I'll cut it about right here. And then this is getting covered, but I still don't want it to have a big bump, so I'm gonna tease it out a little bit so it's seamless. And then this is the chin end. So I want to make the lower lip have a little rounded spot as well. So I'm just folding the end over, tacking it down. Okay. The lower lip goes entirely under the upper lip. So I want all of this to be tucked. I could take a little bit of this off. It's just going to get in the way. That was coming up and hitting the eyeball, so I just took some of it off. Now, on some of these, I left their little mouth open and put a little bit of black there, or you can make it meet, whichever you want. It goes in the same place. It's just how much do you stab the two together. So I'm going to get this tacked on here.
Koi actually have teeth that are at the back of their throat.
Interesting. And then I can bring the belly around. But I do want to show some of those spots, so I'm going to try to pull some of this out.
You get some interesting pictures if you Google koi teeth.
Wow. Now, if your sides don't meet under the belly, then you put more belly cover on there. Now, I was getting the fins wrong. I think I mentioned this. These are good. And these actually aren't bad, but then they have these, which are a little more kind of centered and wispy and farther forward. And then they have one under here. Like I said, this is an interpretation. You can be literal, but on this one, I'll try to be literal so that we can see a little bit more about how that might work. What I think is I would take this and felt that together to make that nice fin. And that's what all these extra pieces are for. If you don't have the fiber on the actual skin that you made, then you just cut a piece and add it. Oh wait, I need to do something before I get this all stuck. What I need to do, now that everything's centered, is cut up the back because I want to put this fin coming out of the back. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I don't need all of this.
She just goes for it. Just chop, chop. It took me a minute.
I'm pretty sure.
You know what you're doing. I don't question you.
I'm pretty sure that my tail is going to come up and cover that. So I think I'm good.
It just takes me longer.
I know. Cavalier sometimes.
I have to bring myself. Like this step was a challenge for me.
Just trying to be centered. I'm going about halfway up the body. And again, wow, my skin got really thick. Different koi are different ways. So some of them have a great big back fin. Some of them have shorter ones. Just roll with your pieces, and I'm fringing this out so that when I put it together, it doesn't look like chopped, which is what it is. And then we made this orangey piece for the fin. So I want about an inch to stick out, and then I need about an inch to attach it. So that's going to go right in there. And to attach it, I'm going to cut little tabs about 3/4 of an inch apart. It's not important, just give yourself a few. And then we put this forward, tuck this under, and then I want to alternate the tabs left to right, and then that's going to help it stand up straight. And this is probably a little bit long. You really want it to end about here because your tail is coming in. So I'm going to end up cutting that. But before I do, I'm just going to, well, you know what I think I'll do? I think I'll go forward with it more because I do want to get a little bit more of that on there. I don't want to have to cut so much of it off.
You just about filleted that thing.
I know, it's really, this is a thicker skin than I have made.
This part of the process feels aggressive.
Icky. Because your little fish guy is getting a little personality, a little life, and it's like surgery.
Chopping them open.
Yeah. I think it's not a bad idea to put some fiber on top of these. It's going to help it stick, and then it's also going to help this stick to that. Core would be good. Just a little thin bit. Ooh, okay. That's better. I've been handing my koi over to Kyla to stab because my arm's a little wacky. So you'll go at this a bit with your punch tool and your pen tool and really get it all locked down. But I'm being a little light on the stabbing. Looks good. Okay, now I can take these out. Stop. poking myself. And now I can really start to get this shaped the way I want it. And I can also assess how my tail is going to go on. I've been having where this is like gets a little too wide. I want it to be a little narrower, so
yeah, the silk edges sometimes you really have to break up.
yeah.
So you make this beautiful thing, and then you kind of shred it and rip it apart before you make it beautiful again.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, all along under this tail, I want it to be tighter. So I'm really going to get rid of some bulk here and try to pull it tighter. All right, so I'm just assessing right now. Then I want to see, how does my tail go? Which is very exciting. Super satisfying. All right, that's going to be good. I'm going to take it back off and fringe it out because I do want it to be on top. You can choose whether you want your tail to be on top or your skin to be on top.
Very cool how just a little fringe takes away seams and
Fringe is your friend. All right, I could have left a little bit more of that. No, we're going to be good. All right, I need to get this tighter down here. Really trying to hug this part with the skin. And that's where I realized this has to be. I think that's okay.
yeah, it narrows, but it doesn't get like super skinny.
Yeah, just tucking and fussing with the fiber, trying to put it where I need it to be. I don't worry too much about their spots do all kinds of things, so I'm not worried that like this one stops and it's just how it comes together. Oh, I've got folded up armature in there. I guess it's okay. There we go. It was kind of folded over. I want to make sure it just pointed straight back. I know you guys can't see what I feel. Straightening that out. Okay. Okay, lots of stabbing to do. Well, he's got a. He's very proud of his tail.
Very proud of his tail.
And then this, I was gonna bring together. Let's see, which is going to be tricky, but I think I can do it. I might need just a little bit of merino in there.
In between.
Yeah.
The wet felted pieces don't always want to stick to themselves
Yeah.
without some help.
It's pretty amazing how much you can do, though. I'm going to take a second to really try and get at the base of it so it looks like this is more like an individual thing and not just a weird seam. Okay. Now, what's cool is I could either fringe, I think I will fringe this all out and then power text it.
It'll look really finny.
Yeah, that's going to give it that real gossamer look. So this is a bit on the fly because I did not do this. So yeah, it's real good to have that merino in there for this. All right, we'll come back to that. That looks good. That's going to look really good. I got to get this tighter. It's bugging me. I could take a little bit of fiber and put it on top of here. I try to limit how much loose fiber I add with needle felting because it does look different than everything else. Okay, it's time to do the face, which I've been avoiding a little bit. Okay, so we've got our lower lip on there. Now this is the part that's a bit more, well, it's all gets a little free form in the stage, but that is a bit of figuring and free form. About an inch out from, if you look at it this way, this guy's got a big lip. About an inch out from the side of the mouth, and I want that to be about an inch, and I'm trying to hold it so you guys can see from the overhead. Trying to get that to be about 1.5 inches, but do what works for your fish. So about right here, I want to cut at an angle And this makes his little, I just cut an angle towards the corner of the mouth. And we can use power wax or impasto on that and make his little whisker. That's how I'm doing that. So we have to do that on each side. So I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch of fiber at the top to hold it all together. And then, like I said, the upper lip really comes over the lower lip. So once you have that, you can stab that mouth into place from the sides.
Watch the wires.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then this gets fringed out. But what can happen is you have this extra to the side of your face generally. And if you don't, you can take a piece and make a little ghost shape to tuck in there. But it's been working out pretty well that I can make a pleat right here to make his gills, which I think I'm calling that the correct thing. There's probably some specific name for it. So I'm doing this in a subtle way. I'm letting the fiber do this little pleat and pucker right there. I'm going to take this. Oh, this is a lot of silk. I'm just going to. Silk is so
It's a gill.
strong. Thank you. Okay, and then once I have that tuck made, I can felt all of this down.
I like his face spot.
His little arms seem really high. Manipulate stuff the way you need to, because there is a lot of wiggle room for manipulation. You like his what? His face spot?
I like the black face spot. That kind of goes over one eye.
This is a lot. I'm going to get rid of it. This gill is not as far back as this gill. I think we're okay. On some of my other ones, I had to cut here because the skin was longer. So you just cut so that it goes around the arm.
So nice.
Thank you. It's getting there. All right. Lots of fussing and stabbing. Yeah, I like his face spot too. He looks like, what was the dog on Little Rascals? Somebody knows out there. Somebody knows.
Somebody's already yelled it. Pete the pup.
Pete the pup. All right, now we get to decide what pieces are the fins. And I'm going to give him I have this piece that I cut off of the tail that has a little bit of orange in it. I think that would look nice. I think I'll use this one.
How much black core?
I don't need too much
How
black
about
core.
this much black core?
Oh my gosh, I need it for the eyes too. I think I can make that work.
What?
So funny. This is Serafina Fiber Art, and we
Wait.
We have this much black core.
Wait. Look at this.
Ooh.
Oh wait, I don't. Is that
No,
core
that's
or is
not
that
core.
fancier than core?
That is fancier than core, but it's lovely. That's pelt. There's got to be.
I know. So much. You have all this fancy fiber around.
All right, while you're hunting for black core,
Aha.
I think I'm going to comb this out a little bit.
So
It's a little on
much.
the thick side. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's like I could
Bounty.
felt for days. On the other ones, I didn't tease those out, but these were feeling a little chunky, so I'm just going to tease them out a little bit. You pass me the impasto.
I feel like you just dropped the black cords at your feet.
Okay, thank you. My precious. He's a cute little guy. He's a tough little bugger. So I could put this on here. Then do I want to do little...
Nice.
I'll do little spotted poofy ones. Okay, the front fins, it's a bit of a, Kyla and I were talking about how it's hard to know what edge goes where sometimes, and that's just the way it is. So I have a finished edge here and here, so I'm going to put this, this
Ooh,
one
like
on
me.
this side, and this one on this side. Oh, he's like a little angel, which means I'm going to fringe this top unfinished edge. And that's going to be my stickiness.
I had to lay it out like 3 times.
Yeah,
before
it's
I
hard to go
committed.
back and forth because now, okay, there we go. It's going to be like that. And I'm going to, that's going to be like that. I'm going to stab it over here. The more you stab, the more polished and finished these can become. Well, that makes, just like everything else we make. I guess I'm reiterating that because I can't do the complete amount of stabbing in the tutorial.
Yeah, it's a good bit once you get everything into place to take care of seam lines, and
Yeah.
you can mix little blends of fiber together if you need to take care of a little line. We actually pulled some floof off of the brush, and it was just the right...
Yeah, the brush floof can be the right binder. Like I can take that and put that there to make it all stay. And it's real fuzzy, so it doesn't have any lines. And also what you need at the ends of the arms here might vary from, well, it is going to vary from fish to fish and person to person. Sometimes I was able to tuck, one thing under the other. But I'll probably need a little bit of fluff to get this all sealed together.
Yeah, that'll depend on the skin also, what kind of coloring. And
so here he's got a bald armpit. So I'm going to take some fluff, stick it in there. It also helps everything hold since it's loose fiber.
yeah, I didn't feel like my arm fins were sticking super great until I really took like a single needle at where it was wrapped, and that helped lock it in.
Making myself a little mix. I'm going to make fluff. I like the creamsicle color, the Yupupa.
So the projects we do that are so many different ways between coloring and even between the variety of koi, like there's butterfly koi, there's so many different ones that
I was seeing, dragon koi come up. I don't know what that means specifically.
to look it up.
Sorry, finish your thought.
Well, when there's that much variation, I feel like there's a lot of freedom because you can't really go wrong. Like how your skin turns out can't go wrong because there's everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And their faces really are kind of different if you look at a bunch of koi together. I mean, they're obviously have similar features.
I like this one a lot.
It feels like less pressure to get it just right.
Yeah,
because how it turns out is just right.
It's kind of like the Dragon Project, except it's a real animal. The Dragon Project, I feel, is very liberating in that way. I'm bouncing around a little bit now. All right, what kind of mouth does he want to have? I think he wants his mouth closed on this one. So if I was going to do it open, I would just felt some black core in there, but I'm going to shut this guy's mouth. So I'm just going to try to felt the lips together. I got to be careful because of that wire is right there.
So there is a myth about the dragon koi.
Okay. Do tell.
According to legend, koi that swim upstream and conquer waterfalls transform into dragons, representing victory.
I like that.
There's a lot of
They're going against the current.
Yeah, there's a lot of meaning with persistence and overcoming and just prosperity and success, and has a very special place in Japanese culture.
I could have put merino in here the same way I did this. So that is an option.
If you have a really nice edge from the...
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, a lot of these have the edge
Mhm.
and then, but sometimes it's nice to fringe it.
Right.
All right. So then they have these two little, now this is something I haven't done before, which is the two little side ones. It almost looks like, it's hard to tell because it's hard to see from pictures, but it looks like they come out from closer together.
It is definitely hard to find pictures.
So maybe I'll try to make something that is connected in the middle for structural reasons. So like, let's say I take this and I fold it in half and I make basically a comma shape. Like that. Then this would be each little one. But I think this needs to be fringed because I did all that cutting.
Like if somebody had to add a whole belly piece, you could feed it through the belly.
I am gonna cut. Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Are the microphones picking up the dog's drinking water is the question.
Okay, I'm counting on. Wait a minute. Does it go that way? No, it goes that way. Okay. So I need, well, maybe my belly is real fringy right here. So it's not like I can cut and then feed this through. So I think I just need to put, some
something over it.
fiber.
It's going to blend right in though.
I hope so. I'm spanning about an inch. And then these will come down like that.
Nice.
Ooh. It's got a lot going on. Now the question is, do we want a blender there, or does that more like a, makes sense that it's more like a
protruding seam? I mean, the fins like stick out.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it like that. I'm not loving this sharp edge right here. I'm going to get rid of that on both sides. He thanks me. He was feeling like a 70s collar. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It gives him a little more fancy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy can get these ones. It's a little bright. I'll figure it out. Now everybody wants extra fins. Okay, Kyla, he needs your stabbing. I'll do the eyes, and we'll do the mouth, and we'll experiment with the PowerTex. Finally calling it PowerTex and not Powerpole.
Those are going to be great.
Yeah, I like it. Just get a little bit of... What's cool with the PowerTex is once it's stiffened, you can kind of cut it any way you want, and it still looks really natural. Okay, so on the eyes, I want to go around and make sure it's very round. They're very round. I've played with a few different things. Like this guy just has black eyes with, haven't totally finished it yet, but I was just putting, see, it's not even, there it is. Light purple rim around it. Most of them I've done gold with black center. They have all different kinds of ways. I'm going to take some black, fold it into a flat circle just to get myself started, and then put it on there. But I think this circle is the key to making them look fishy. So like this one's not looking circular.
All right, now I'm watching a koi swim on a video.
Oh, that's cool.
Just trying to look at their eyeballs.
Just shaping his face a little bit with some more aggressive stabbing. What do you see? Anything?
I mean, they're gold, silver, multiple colors all through.
Mm-hmm. Little white dot is good. I'm going to try it with the Snow Merino. I usually use Serafina white, but I think I can bust this up. Then I need a 40 twist.
How good is fish eyesight?
I don't know. What do they see?
They apparently have excellent eyesight, seeing in color, and wide angle vision. How do we know?
I know. How do
that they
know?
see in color? They have good night vision and can navigate in low light conditions.
Did they put them in a little testing tunnel?
Like the color.
Oh, my fish his whole head is wacky. Poor guy. I like it.
It looks good.
I didn't quite get his mouth closed, so let me put some black core in there. Guess you gotta leave like a little more lip overhang to really get it closed.
All right, someone's saying they're koi breeder and pond people wear the same color shirt for feeding, and the koi react during the feeding with that color shirt. So like if a person walks by not in that color shirt, they don't react the same way that they do with the feeding color.
He's so cute. I definitely will blend at the tail a bit here. So I'm going to use the Upupa and to make an orange, I'm going to blend a little bit of the lake and a little bit of the yolk.
My fish hide if I'm wearing a light blue sweatshirt, any other color, and they come right up to me, but not light blue. Maybe this is too close to the heron that like to visit.
I threw some white in there too. I'm going to cut this in half because I don't want to try to force long, stringy fiber to go where I need it to go. And then just with a tiny bit, I want to see if I can smooth out some of these transitional seams. It's very difficult to make a complete sentence and felt at the same time. Yeah, I'm going to experiment on the tail with getting this tighter around the resist. This side's pretty good. I feel like adding might even mess it up, but I'll just put a little bit.
Let's really lock it down too.
Yeah.
I do like his little mouth open.
Mm-hmm.
He's ready to eat.
Okay. All right, let's play with impasto and PowerTex. So on the whiskers, you just smosh it in and then shape your little whisker. It's really fun, actually.
So this is the impasto that we have linked on our Goods and Faves page. We'd be very excited if Power Wax redoes their formula for fiber, but as of now they have not.
See,
now nice.
He's wise. He's a wise old man. So I have some PowerTex here that has a little bit of water in it. Not quite 50-50, a little more PowerTex than water. But first, let's do this other guy. Can't stop stabbing while his whiskers dry. So this, I didn't have any more of the purple that I want, and I just mixed a color and put it over the wire, like kind of like fairy wings or angel wings. So I'm going to put the PowerTex on and see how that dries.
I saw somebody ask on Fanfare the other day about watering down the PowerTex because apparently it says not to water it down.
It says that?
Well, I feel like maybe for true outdoor protective applications.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it says not to water it down because I can see that affecting maybe how all weatherproof it is.
Yeah, I would have to look at the bottle.
You definitely water it down because the person said, Sarah puts water in it.
We've done it that way for the plumage, like for feather tips, because you don't want it to be this rock hard thing. Right. You want it to just be sharpened, basically, is the best way to put it. So I went right up onto the wire on this. I figured I might be able to press it to look skinny, but we'll see.
So yeah, for this kind of application, you do want it watered down.
What's cool is there's a certain point in it drying that you can kind of, like I took my fingers and shaped this a little bit wavy. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that dries. But we will take a look. All right, hopefully I have enough here to do. All right, I'm gonna let this guy sit on his back. Here, he can sit on the tub. Aw, poor guy, belly up. And then I'm gonna do these bottom ones on this guy. It's a choice, like, so your whole fish is soft and then there's a slightly crunchy part.
Crusty.
So it is a choice you got to make. Okay, that should be good. And I want to get these lower ones. I'm going to have to stick my fingers in it. There's no way around it. I like the way it kind of like pulls all the thin fibers out, but then it hardens them there. So you get this real feathered edge. And some of the koi have these real like thin, wispy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I could see really manipulating the fiber to be that way. I have not taken the time and effort to do that. You could go pretty advanced with it, is what I'm saying.
People could do it even around the edge of the tail if they really wanted that.
So I think you can see how like wispy that is, and that'll be defined that way by the PowerTex. So what Kyla's saying is you could take the tail and brush it out. Should I do it?
It's such a pretty edge.
I'm going to need more PowerTex.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. I am going to have to cut it.
Wow.
I know.
You're going for it.
You got to go for it and see what happens.
In the tutorial.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorites. Cracks me up.
We have enough tails with defined edges. We got to see what happens when we undefine it. Ooh, it's going to be amazing. Okay, this is exciting. Thank you. Tiny bit of water. Yeah. Now his little front fins are going to look all chunky. I might have to do those too. Talbot's going to get to this point in the video and editing and be like, what am I supposed to keep and what am I supposed to get rid of? Kyla's walking all over the place.
I could just keep popping onto the video and you wouldn't know what to do. Yes, you want to cover your work surface. Make sure you're not on a super nice blanket.
Yeah, so smart. I get on a tear and then I don't want to stop to do things cautiously. All right, that's all I'm going to do on that, just the edges.
Oh.
I think that's going to be really cool. Everybody's going to want a frayed edge now. And now I have to do these fins because they just look...
They're going to look all chunky.
Yeah. It's nice. It pulls the unfelted silk out. And silk's really strong, so this side doesn't have as much silk. He's a sticky mess right now, but I have faith.
He's going to be very cool.
It's impossible to walk by squeakless around here. All right, I'm doing mostly just the edges of this one. Okay, we're going to let this guy dry. I'm going to try to get him into as neutral of a position as possible. And we'll check back. All right, we have mostly dried power tex. And I was just kind of experimenting with how to finish the edges because scissors would be pretty blunt. So I was playing with this lighter and seeing if it gives it a more natural kind of finish to it. But it does, I don't know if it's the power tex, it is a little more flammable than wool usually is. It usually just singes. So try that at your own risk.
It does give it a nice edge though.
Yeah, it gives it a more natural edge than cutting it. And I like the way it sort of takes away. I got to get this bugger right there. So that's a possibility. But the other possibility, and probably the safer one, is just to trim this it's just going to look more cut. That's the only thing, but you can still give it some variation and rounded corners and stuff.
Or burn it.
It just works better. It does. It's more fun too. But how much you cut off is up to you. How precise you want it to be.
Very
nice.
finny.
And then these have kind of weird long tassels. I'm going to nix. Let's see how our little upside down guy is doing. All right, this is not as dry.
It's a lot more fiber.
Yeah. So it's still white kind of looking. It'll dry more clear than that. But set him right there. Yeah, I love this guy.
So good.
I'm gonna enjoy refining him even more. Did I neglect anything, do you think?
I don't think so. I think he's great.
Now I want to fringe out all of them. This guy, I can do that same thing under here, bring that together, and then do his tail and add his fins. It's going to be a nice one too. Pass me the yellow one. Same thing. I think he needs another little piece. And this one was made by putting 2 flat felted pieces together on the tail. This was before I figured out the resist. So if I tease all of that out and put the Power Tex on it, it might look a little more.
Yeah.
He looks a little sharky right now, I feel like. But that'll be cool. All right. Do you have any closing words of wisdom?
No. You're going to be making a lot more than one koi, probably.
I think so. I hope so. I think you guys are going to have fun with this. I see things I need to fix, but that is the gist of the fish. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope to see your work. You can share it in our group, which is Serafina Felting Fanfare. We're on a sort of a transitional phase with the mulberry silk, but depending on demand, we will carry more mulberry silks.
The plumage is
because
great.
They work really well. The plumage is great too. So thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see your koi.